So welcome to our webinar. I'm starting again. This webinar is organized on the scope of the InSSight project, and it's dedicated to identifying European funding to make innovation happen. So again, I'm Géraldine André-Augustin, the CEO of Blumorpho. And Blumorpho is a global innovation accelerator. We are collaborating with the full ecosystems, and we are specialized in deep tech, digital, and smart systems. What is InSSight? InSSight, it's a coordination and support action supported by the European Commission, and it's dedicated to support successful integration of smart systems in a large spectrum of products and applications. The goal of InSSight is to help open new market opportunity for smart system integration. So Blumorpho is very happy partner of this program because we think it's really bring a high support for companies willing to enter into smart systems. But what is smart systems? Let me give you a first description of smart systems. Smart systems combine different functions: sensing, actuation, data communication, energy management in a fully integrated way. So we are developing smart systems using enabling technologies like microelectronics, nanoelectronics, but also magnetisms, photonics, chemistry, radiations, but also biological elements. So it's the value of smart systems is to integrate all those functions to make new products and also to develop new markets. This webinar is the fourth of a series of different webinars. We have already organized in the scope of the InSSight project 3 webinars. The first one was dedicated to cybersecurity and the Internet of Things. The second was dedicated to boost innovation in the biomedical sectors with specific acceleration programs. And we have also a webinar dedicated to enter into the sport revolution through smart systems. All those webinars are available on the InSSight website, so you can have access to them. And today we're going to speak about European funding opportunities to make innovation happen. When we speak about European funding, we speak mainly about Horizon 2020. So as you can see on this slide, it's a big European research and innovation program since the European Commission has invested more than 80 billion euros to finance innovation. And as you can see on this slide, it might be a bit complex to understand and to find the right solution to support your own innovation through industrial leadership or societal challenges or European Institute of Innovation and Technology or also excellent sciences. So it's a lot of project going on, a lot of calls. And our goal today is to help you to find the right solution for you. I wanted to also give more about the context. Here we are speaking about smart systems, and we think that it's a great value for companies to enter into the what we call the digital market or the data market. As you can see here, we really see a great value for companies, for workers, because we see more employment coming in the year to come, but also we see a high economic value. So we are moving from 30 billion markets to more than 700 billion markets. So it's indeed quite a huge value for companies to enter into the data market. What we can see also is that currently only 1 out of 5 companies is highly digitized. And as you can see on these slides, 42% of large companies are highly digitized when only 16 of European SMEs have entered already in digitization. So there is actions to be undertaken, and there is strong support of the European Commission to improve digitization in SMEs. We can see also that if we consider digitization in Europe, it's not the same on all countries. We see high digitization in for example, Danish companies, where it's less digitized in Bulgaria and Romania. So the goal of the European Commission is to bring digitization all over Europe. And it's really a great potential. As you can see on this slide, only a few markets are highly digitized for the moment. And recent studies have shown that digitization of products and services can more high value to products and to generate more than 110 billion annual revenues in Europe in the next 5 years. So great market opportunity that we are strongly encourage you to catch. And this is also the goal of the European Commission. So again, when we speak about data management, data exploitation, smart system are key, and that's why we have decided to organize this webinar on this topic. I'm really pleased to also welcome our experts today to help you and to guide you to find the right project for you, the right call for you, but also to share the best practices to enter into digitization with the support of the European Commission. So I will welcome our speakers today. So Nikos Katavenos from the European Commission. Hello, Nikos.
Hello, Geraldine. Hello, everybody.
Thank you, Nikos. Hello, Petra Weiler from BDI-VDE. You're also the coordinator of the inSSIgth project.
Hello, Geraldine. Thank you.
Hello, Petra. I will also introduce you Rainer Günzler from InSSIgth. He's head of business development and also the coordinator of Smarter SI and Smart for Europe.
Yes, also hello from my side.
Hello, Rainer. And I also introduce you Laure Quentin from Minalogic, European project manager. Hello, Laure.
Hello, everybody.
So now that I have made my speech, actually once you can hear, once you could not, but now I think everybody is online. So I'm going to ask you also questions. So we are very interested to know who you are. So as you can see, I'd like to ask you how would you assess your level of knowledge in smart systems? Is it low, 1, or very high, 5? So please answer those questions. That would be really helpful for us to provide you with additional information. So it's easy, just have to click. So I give you a few seconds more for the people who haven't answered yet, because I know who has answered or not. So please do it. And okay, so thank you for that. So it's very interesting. We have quite a few people that are new in smart systems, which is a great opportunity also for us to guide you through smart systems. Okay, and also additional question for you. Based on what we have shown you here, a very short introduction on smart systems, we are very interested to know where you see the value of smart systems to open new markets, to add new sensing functions to your products, to develop autonomous solutions, to increase connectivity, or to develop intelligent solutions. So again, your answer will be very helpful for us also to provide you with additional information and also to identify maybe some calls that will match with your own interests. So a few seconds more so you can all answer. I know we have a lot of points to share with you today. So I will go fast on that. So yes, so thank you for your answers. And finally, my last question for now, because I have several. Would you be interested in implemented smart system in your own products? That's also useful for us to know, because of course, if you are interested, that makes more sense to introduce you a very relevant solution and also calls that you can use to develop your innovation products. So it's a few seconds more, and then I will ask specific question to Nikos from the European Commission, so he can give us an overview of the European Commission strategy and also the expectation to support innovation. So thank you for your answers, and now I will give the floor to Nikos. So thank you very much, Nikos, for joining us today. It's a great pleasure for us to have the ability to have your expertise and your advices. So what are the European Commission strategies and expectations to support innovation in Europe? Can you give us an highlight on that?
Thank you, Geraldine. The pleasure is mine. Thank you for inviting me and the whole inSSight team. Okay. Okay, great. Well, I'm trying to be a bit simple in my slides and very short, because I know we have the time pressure. But as you said before, the EU and basically through the European Commission has always supported research and innovation for a long time now, and the Commission has usually done this through funding as a main source, and this is done through the framework programs. And as you said correctly before, we're at Horizon 2020 now, and we're actually well into Horizon 2020 since the beginning of 2014. It runs until 2020, and we are now actually at the last stage, so we're past the halfway mark. As you said, it's 80 billion of funding available over the 7 years, with a strong emphasis on 3 main pillars, which is excellent science, industrial leadership, and of course, tackling societal challenges. But I've highlighted here industrial leadership because this is where our activities as DG Connect and as Directorate A and Unit A3 fall into. And of course, taking great ideas from the lab to the market, which is essential. As I said, looking at the 3 years from the beginning of Horizon 2020 until now will give us a better understanding of the impact that's involved in this framework program. And as you can see already, it's proving that EU research and innovation remains very attractive and relevant to all our activities. Around 54% of the Horizon 2020 participants are newcomers, which means that they haven't been involved in the previous framework program. Almost half of these are SMEs, which is very important. There has always been a target of 20% in Horizon 2020 for the share of funding, which of course has been surpassed. And you can see the amount of eligible proposals and the amount of requested funding, which is substantial, just to give you an idea of what we are talking about. Now, all this information is being taken from a brochure that has been produced by the European Commission. It's called Horizon 2020 in a Full Swing. Just I've clicked, but yeah, great. And here you can see some slight numbers on the impact. So we're talking about publications. We're talking about nearly 12,000 publications already. But I would like to focus more on the third part, which is the innovation part. So you can already see that a lot of projects have produced new innovative products and processes and methods in their organizations. And of course, around 15% of participating companies have introduced innovations to the market, and of course internally in their own company. So this is both externalization and internalization too when we're talking about innovation. Now, to be more specific, this is regarding the activities that we do here at DG Connect and Unit A3, which is the Competitive Electronics Industry Unit. And as you can see, the little electronics butterfly in the middle. We are currently at the last part of Horizon 2020, so we're talking about the work program 2018-2020, and we are mostly situated in the late ICT, which is leadership in enabling and industrial technologies and information and communication technologies. Part of this is, as you can see, the first part, which is technologies for digitizing European industry. And this is what I want to focus on because this is one of the main strategies now coming from DG Connect and Directorate A, in conjunction to all the other very important strategies of European data infrastructure. So we're talking about big data, high performance computing, which is also relevant, communication, so 5G, next generation internet, digital innovation hubs, which is very, very important. And you will hear, I believe, more on this from our from the rest of the speakers. And of course, cybersecurity and international calls, which are also included in the work program. As I said, we're focusing more on digitizing and transforming European industry and services. And what that means is, sorry, I have a bit of a lag. Okay, basically this is coming from the strategy on digital single market, which is a European Commission strategy, about helping in seizing the opportunities offered by digital technology. So we're really talking about digitizing and transforming European industry. What we are aiming to do with this is to enable all sectors, as Geraldine said before in her slides, help them to adapt, help them to transform and benefit from this digitization. Of course, from this, we will have development of new business models. We are trying to connect to member states and regions, and of course, remove any barriers in innovation. And this is where digital innovation hubs come into play as well. Of course, the integration of research and innovation into major technological trends is always very important. And this is where the SSI community comes in, because we're talking about application-driven initiatives and, of course, multidisciplinary approach, which is very, very SSI relevant. And, of course, just a small picture on the bottom to show you the size of the indicative budget for the work program 1820. Now,
So yeah, thank you very much, Nicholas, for that. It would be very interesting to know what the people and the company need to know when they apply to European Commission fundings.
Well, what we believe is important, this is also a personal view, is of course we welcome participation. We welcome proposals. This is what we want to achieve, and especially in this whole strategic now and initiative on digitizing industry. What you have to know is that how we do this is through our calls, and usually we support different types of actions, and as you see, I've listed a few here through our funding. So we have the RIAs, which are research and innovation actions, and here we're talking about 100% funding, but we're talking about lower TRLs, and TRLs, for those who don't know, are technology readiness levels. So we're talking about maybe a TRL 4 to 5, and in some cases TRL 6. So this is more validation into the laboratory environment and maybe in relevant environment as well. We also have innovation actions, which is higher TRLs, and here the funding is slightly less. It's 70% of funding. And of course, we have the coordination and support actions like InSSight to bring everything together. In conjunction to this, we also have additional funding sources or instruments, if I may. I'm only bringing one example here because this is relevant to our unit and our activities, and this is Excel, which is Electronic Components and Systems for European Leadership. So Excel, as a joint undertaking, also has its own calls, and I will show a few slides on this later on. But what I want to stress here about basically applying for EC funding is that it's not only about funding, it's also about participation. It's also about participating in these partnerships with different kind of organization types, from higher education systems to services to SMEs to industry. And of course, this is always important for bringing something new to the project. So this is what we want. This is what research brings, and this is why it's fundamental before reaching the innovation. Now, last but not least, I've put in a slide which is coming from a recent study which was done by the EIB, the European Investment Bank, and this is basically access to finance on key enabling technologies, and as micro nanoelectronics and the rest, as Geraldine says, are KETs. It shows you a bit of an overview where the framework programs of Horizon 2020 can reach TRL level maybe 5 and 6. So we're talking about product design and validation still in relevant environments. But then this is taken even further to higher TRLs by our joint undertaking, which is Excel, which could even bring you closer to the market. And of course, these are all relevant to the smart system integration community.
Right, interesting indeed. Very interesting slide. So now, what are the calls that you encourage companies to apply in the coming weeks or coming months on smart system integration?
Yes, Geraldine. Okay, when we're talking about call information, of course, we're talking about calls advertised in Horizon 2020 and promoted by Horizon 2020. Just to show you a bit on what we do here in Directorate A, the nuts and bolts, as my colleague Henri has said, and this is a slide from him. Basically, we have to look at the drivers of the different technologies and of course the application, because it's very application driven, and this is why it's very relevant to the smart system community, from nanoelectronics to photonics to SSI to bioelectronics, flexible electronics and CPS, and of course there's another pillar here which is missing, which is robotics and artificial intelligence, which I haven't included, but you can see that we have overlapping applications from wearable technologies, wearable electronics to biosensors, health, environment, food monitoring, and this is why I've added this, because it's very, very relevant to smart system integration. Now, of course, we are quite late in advertising this call at the moment, but it has begun since October last year. These are the three main parts of what my unit as a competitive electronics unit is promoting for the next work program 1820. And as you can see, the purple circle is the electronic smart systems, which is basically what we call smart system integration, and it's 48 million. And this is with the information I'll give you on in the next slides. Okay, so the call is called ICT 07 2018. It's called Electronic Smart Systems. As I said, it opened up in October 2017, and unfortunately the deadline is 17th of April, so it's just over a month from now, but there's still time, and this is why it's very, very relevant and very relevant to the community. It's split into three, so we have research and innovation actions of a total of 39 million, and we're talking about 100% funding, as I said before. We have innovation actions of 8 million, 70% funding, and coordination and support actions of 1 million, 100% function. And the challenge is to develop new generation multifunctional ESS technologies. So we're talking about integration of hardware, sensing, actuating, processing, communication, wireless transmission, and of course validating this with application demonstrators. Some specifics on each action. So we have the RIA, the Research and Innovation Action, and this again, as you can see, is split into two. So we have the A and B. A is technological breakthrough. So we're talking about more into the technologies into smart system integration. So we're talking about further miniaturization, further functionalities onto a single device, lower power consumption and autonomy, and of course reliability, which is proving very, very important at this stage. We're talking about TRL4, so this is more validation in a laboratory environment, but of course we're asking for some indication or early identification of industrial exploitation or even some application perspectives in this sense. So proposals can come into this section, but they can also come into section B, which is more application driven, and this is bioelectronic smart systems. So we're talking more about either health or food or environment, and here we're looking more into the specificity, sensitivity, time to results, again, reliability and manufacturability. And we're aiming for a TRL5, which is more validation into relevant environments. Now, for the research and innovation actions, a reasonable funding request from 2 to 4 million per project is, I think, viable. Now, going on to the innovation action. Yes, if I can.
Yeah, it's gonna rock.
Okay. Great. Okay. Innovation action. So we're talking about 8 million and 70% funding. It has to do more with access nanoelectronics and electronic smart systems. So basically, this is in the context of, as Geraldine said before, and we will hear later on in further speeches, of digital innovation hubs. So basically, we're trying to have DIH, digital innovation hubs, bringing more access to advanced design and manufacturing, either from academia, research institutes, SMEs, and of course, rapid prototyping, which is something that SMEs are always looking for when approaching the market. And last but not least, the CSAs, the coordination and support actions, which we're aiming here for more collaboration, more cooperation between projects and experts in these fields, either nanoelectronics, ESS, flexible wearable electronics, and of course, through monitoring technology and development. Now, this is the call that's coming up now. So just a reminder that the deadline is the 17th of April. And of course, we are here to help anybody that's interested and to see where they actually fall in to their proposal stage. But additional to ICT 07, there are calls also running from the Excel joint undertaking. I'm not going to go through a lot in detail, but just to let you know that the calls have already opened, and Excel has advertised 2 calls, one for innovation actions and one for research and innovation actions. The innovation actions focus more on the key application areas. As you can see, the vertical columns on the right. So this is more on transport and mobility, health and well-being, energy, digital industry, and digital life. And research and innovation actions, because they're lower TRL, focus on the application areas, but also the essential capabilities as well. It's slightly different to what we have in Horizon 2020. Excel uses a two-stage process. The first process has a deadline for the 26th of April, and it's called the project outline stage. And whatever proposals are successful at this PO stage in the beginning can move on to the next stage, which is the full project proposal stage, and the deadline for that is the 20th of September. And all these are in the work plan, or these are according to the work plan 2018 by Excel, which is produced on an annual basis. And all this information is available. I have provided some links on my last slide, and of course, via email, anybody's free to contact me and we can help from then on.
Thank you very much, Nikos. And actually, indeed, the participant can ask their questions. You have the question box, and we will answer to the questions at the end of the webinar. Yes, thank you very much for the detailed presentation. And I think, indeed, when we have a look to all the different opportunities, we see a lot of opportunities for companies to apply. I just wanted to ask a question again, just one. I prepare more, but let's start by one. I'd like to know if the participant of today's webinar knew about all those different opportunities, just to know your level of knowledge of about European Commission supports. So also for us to guide you and to help you. So interesting to notice that a lot of you didn't know about that. So I think it's good that we have this webinar. It's already a good information. Yeah, that's quite interesting, because I can share that to you. It's, as you can see here, a lot of you didn't know about European Commission support and the detail of that. So thank you very much, Nikos, for sharing that with us. And now,
thank you very much, Joseph. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'd like to ask to Petra Weiler, the InSSight coordinator, what are the good tools and what are the good practices to apply for European Commission funding? Can you share that with us?
Thank you very much, Geraldine. Yes, of course. Before I start going into the tools, I would like to highlight also, because I have seen there was a question on that from the participants, that of course it is not only exclusively for companies. Rather, what we always say is that it's for the whole of the community, the ecosystem as we call it. And actually we have noticed that the best consortia for projects are those that have a good balance between companies, research organizations, and even nowadays it is more and more important to include also organizations from other areas in the ecosystem, not just the value chain from design to manufacture, but also organizations that know about how to find out about user needs, how to deal with finance investments, how to deal with IPR management or business model development and marketing. So actually the whole ecosystem. I will try to switch to the next slide. No?
Yes, it's working.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot. So this is a bit of the bird's eye view on the ecosystem. I will come back to that also a bit later. So about the tools, of course, there are very obvious tools that probably everybody knows, like the participant portal, or there's also the Enterprise Europe Network or Idealist, and they all offer their tools, or these tools are available free of charge, and it's very much encouraged to use them. What we have developed together with our partners in Excel is a collaboration tool that can be used to create project ideas, to look for partners, and also to look for other project ideas. But generally, we always say that actually the whole funding process somehow needs to be supported by tools. And EPOS, for example, is such, you can't call it a tool, but it is like a network, a platform where you can get engaged and where we already do consultations, where we provide input to work programs. So we already start where the priorities and the funding strategies are developed. And it actually makes sense to get involved already at that stage. That is, of course, especially true for small organizations that don't have time to do everything by themselves, but need representation also of themselves through networks. We have a number of other tools. Try again to click and switch. Yeah, here we are. What we do is, for example, develop strategic research agendas and roadmaps. And I have highlighted two here, which is one on smart systems integration from EPOS, the European Technology Platform on Smart Systems Integration, and also the strategic research agenda on electronic components and systems that we developed together with our Excel partners, Artemisia and Ineas. Speaking again about documents, or actually workshops and documents or consultations, where in the past year and early this year we have done workshops on automation, for example, because we noticed that autonomous functionality is very relevant also in smart systems integration and for future products. We ran 3 workshops, and there will be 3 position papers published very soon. So here again, you are invited to take part in these workshops and to provide your opinion, so that in the end, what priorities are developed here will find their way in the funding programs of the future. Then if we move to, I don't know whether you can call them tools, but there are information days and proposals days, brokerage events and consortium building opportunities. And these are organized by the Commission and also by the European technology platforms, for example, EPOS, or also by Excel. What we do in our EPOS proposals days, we usually present the open calls like Nikos just did also in this webinar. And we include not only the opportunities in Horizon 2020, but also those in public-private partnerships, and not just Excel, but also in health or in transport. And we also include further funding opportunities like Euripides or Penta, which are Eureka clusters. Then what might be important also for small organizations is that, I'm trying to switch again.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm one too far. Is that you can participate free of charge in these events and provide information on project ideas that you might have, look for partners, and we will publish all presentations and project ideas and technology offers on our website so that they are available also afterwards for people who couldn't attend the event. I put the link here on the slide for you to consult the website. Another tool we have, and which is quite useful, is what we call the Smart Systems Integration Capability Radar. You can actually not only search here for organizations that might be good partners in a consortium, but you can also pin your own organization. So put your expertise where you are located regionally, but also in the ecosystem. And that is a good tool for consortium building and brokerage, actually. Also for funding agencies to see where the hotspots are in Europe, for example. Yeah, and then finally, Geraldine has already mentioned it. We provide these webinars where you can participate. 3 have already taken place last year. 1 is happening just now, and then there are more webinars to come on specific topics like regulation on data management or reliability, or also smart systems market opportunities. All these are recorded and made available at the InSSight website. The link is here on the slide. Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of tools actually, so that's also a great support and great help for companies. But do you have like a good recipe so we can apply to increase the chance of success?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I saved one thing for last for this good recipe part, one tool. But of course, I mean, there are a lot of rather obvious recipes, like bringing together an excellent consortium and writing an excellent proposal, which addresses accurately the call text. But yeah, the tool is a very practical one that I will present now, and it is also very, very good for small organizations, for startups even. What I'm talking about is the Smart Systems Integrated Trademark. So my recommendation would really be to include already something on this trademark in your proposals if you plan to develop prototypes, demonstrators, or products resulting from your project.
So it could make a big difference in proposal, actually.
Yes, if you consider that it's like a collective European Union trademark, and we registered it with the European Union Intellectual Property Office, so it's not just something like we put a stamp on your proposal saying that this is a good proposal or something, but it's really something that you do to identify and differentiate your product in competition to others, of course, to show it is a smart system, to give visibility to your research, to the outcome of your research. Some background information is that we have registered it for 10 years, but the license could be for 3 years plus another 3 years. It is granted to products that integrate smart systems in a variety of application fields. So, for example, in transportation, in health, in energy, in manufacturing, but also in transversal topics like technologies, security, or production processes. Again,
yeah.
Here we go. The benefits from the use are, as I said, like you can show what impact your project makes. And as you know, when you write proposals, there's always this rather important section, which is called impact. So you can already demonstrate that you plan to exploit the project results in a very practical way, demonstrating to the outside world that you have developed the smart systems with the co-funding received from the European Commission. It is also a tool with which you can track the impact. So also for the funding authorities, they can track what impact all the projects have from their funding. So from both sides, actually, I would call it a good tool and also like a recipe for success.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, and just to say that we have a promotion right now because it's rather new. We launched it recently, and it's not only very easy to get the trademark, of course, provided that you fit in the regulation of the trademark, but it is also here's a website. It is also free of charge if you do it until the 12th of April, which is the second day of the Smart Systems Integration Conference in Dresden. So if you apply for it by then, it will be free of charge.
Good to know. Good to know. Petra, you know what? I'm going to ask our participant today if they're interested to know more about the trademark. So I'm just going to ask them now and we will know. So if you are interested to know more about the trademark, just click and we will send you more information. And also the ability to enter into this process that seems to be quite interesting and quite attractive actually. So a few seconds more. So after that, we can also address another point related to European Commission support, which is the point of European SMEs. Indeed, as you said, Petra, to prepare a proposal for the European Commission, it's very important to have the full consortium, considering research organization, large corporation, also some companies that have expertise to support exploitation of technologies. And as we have seen at the beginning of this presentation, there is a strong need to support SMEs. And I think, Nikos, we can say that it's also a top priority of the European Commission. So now what I would like to do is to ask Rainer to give us. Oh yeah, sorry. I think I shorted a bit your presentation, Petra, but I'd like to know also from Rainer if you could explain us a bit more what are the support provided to European SMEs, and what about the digital innovation hubs. So thank you very much, Petra, for this very detailed presentation.
Thank you.
Yes, that's his pleasure. I will try to do that. Yeah, digital innovation hub, smart anything everywhere, is related to communication by the EC on digitalization. And this communication has set a very ambitious goal, namely to ensure that any industry in Europe, wherever situated and in any sector, can benefit from digital innovations. This any everywhere is related to this smart anything everywhere initiative. We have it there in the name already. Well, the Commission put several measures in place to help to reach that goal. And some main pillars are the so-called innovation hubs. In short, they are one-stop shops which provide companies and in particular SMEs access to knowledge, resources, training, finance in order to enable digital innovation. And the Smart Everything Everywhere initiative is a kind of umbrella for a dozen of projects which are targeting this.
Okay, so before we define how SME can enter into this program, I would like to ask you if you consider yourself as an SME. So I'm going to ask you the question. So Rainer, if I'm correct, an SME is a company that have less than 250 full-time employees and generate less than 15 million euros turnover, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So indeed, we have quite a lot of SMEs today participating to this webinar. So I think it really makes sense to enter in more details to understand how they can benefit from European Commission support.
Well, the Smart Anything Everywhere initiative has this goal, and this is done via innovation actions. And Nikos already touched that. Innovation actions are a new instrument in Horizon 2020, or you can say type of projects. And in Smart Anything Everywhere, all these innovation actions we have here, they adapt existing technologies to specific needs of smaller companies. And they do that by running smaller projects, and we call those project application experiments. Not all, but most innovation actions use the support to third party scheme. That means that they can cascade funding, and they do that via open calls. This is very SME friendly, I would say, because these procedures are very lean. You have short contracts, not directly with the Commission, but with the partners in those innovation actions.
So cascade funding means that they can receive money that they can reallocate to additional partners or suppliers, so they can build their product, right?
Right. I will just give you in the next slide an overview of open calls. You see on the right 4 projects which are closing in the first half of this year. And we have another 4 who started a few months ago. And all of them will have such open calls. Just to show you, there are deadlines already this month, but also in July for smart systems integration. You can, I don't read all what is in this slide for the sake of time, but you can access that through our webpage.
Okay, so we see a lot of support for European Commission. These innovation actions are quite new. Do you have example of success stories? And yeah. I will add on that as well.
Yes, of course, we have success stories already. I will show you one which was elaborated in the Smarter SI project. This is on a, I would say, big machinery, so a more traditional industry. And what they are fabricating, this company Geusper, is clutch brakes, and clutch brakes simply transfer motion from a motor flywheel. And the problem there is that you need to do wear checks, which then create significant downtime and then, of course, cost. What we did there is to have a smart sensor system which allows predictive maintenance. A couple of sensors, an energy harvester, wireless transmission. You can see it on that picture here, the red system. And this company is a hidden champion in this product. But of course, they only need 1,000 to 2,000 units per year. And this you cannot get from commercial foundries. And that's why Smarter AI has the goal to provide such small lot numbers directly to companies. Yeah. And of course, we have also, here's repeating our webpage. And in a few days or weeks, we will have a new brochure on Smart Anything Everywhere, the digital innovation hubs or accelerators for the broad digital transformation. Where you can have more examples. It's only one now.
Right. And I take the opportunity also to share a bit more on the innovation actions. So as you said, the goal is to make application experiments. And that's also coming from the Gate 1 project, which was part of your presentation. So as you can see, we have done about 50 demonstrators in the Gate 1 project. And it was really interesting because from inception of the project to 2015 to 2017, the project have already generated 1.8 billion euros of business from the first 8 demonstrators that have been developed. So with this kind of innovation action, you can really accelerate your access to markets by showing to your customers what your product looks like, so you can engage with them earlier in the process. And that has been really supportive for companies that enter into innovation action. So again, Smart Anything Everywhere, it's a very strong added value for European SMEs. You can also use this kind of processes to create companies. Through the Gate 1 project, one company has been already created, another one is under assessment. So again, take the opportunity of that. I like to highlight also that the demonstrators are made also available for the InSSight project. So we are doing open lab workshop. So if you're not familiar with smart systems, you can totally come to those open lab workshop. So you can see the demonstrator, you can test them, and you can define how you can use smart systems in your own product, also with a specific trademark on it. So if you want to receive more information on Digital Innovation Hub and that Rainer has introduced you, just let us know. Just to inform you also that we are preparing a specific webinar dedicated to digital innovation hubs that will engage all the different innovation actions that Rainer introduced you. And we will explain you how those projects are working, what are the calls, and you will have the ability also to interact with all the project coordinator. So I think that this is a good action, and Rainer, I think we will inform all people, and that will come in the coming weeks.
Yes, with pleasure.
So thank you very much, Rainer, for this detailed presentation. And I can tell you that we have strong interest to know more about Digital Innovation Hub. So I think it's also a good, it was a good information for the participants. So we spoke about European Commission, we spoke about European Technology Platform with EPOS and all the tools that Petra introduced us. We made a focus on SMEs, but what we need to know also is that at the European Commission, at the European level, we have a strong organization around clusters, and we have the great chance to have with us Laure Quentin from Inalogic. So Laure, could you explain it in more detail what are the role and actions of European clusters?
Yes, my pleasure. Well, European, these can be used as, let's say, support, but also as tools for you in accessing European funding. Clusters are regional actors helping you to enhance your innovation potential and to support your business growth. If you don't know your regional clusters, I strongly recommend you to get in touch with it. We are acting as ecosystem enabler and animator, and bring together large companies, SMEs, including startups, research centers, universities, and financing bodies, more and more, such as banks, VCs, governments that provide public funding. So for SMEs, we aim at, let's say, leverage the multiplier effect to increase your performance by reaching critical mass necessary for your innovation projects, especially in a collaborative manner, and to help you achieve better your market entry. So that's a bit what we do, and one part of this is guiding you, of course, into Europe, let's say European, what I call jungle. Well, it's not negative at all. Jungle is full of adventure, and we hope that it can, well, we can help you and guide you on that. So if I can. Okay, next slide.
Yeah, so that's indeed a quite interesting questions that I suggest we move forward. It's what are the best, what are the most attractive of European funding sources for your members? Because indeed, Laura, you are working in close collaboration with companies in your regions, and based on your experience of collaboration, what raised their highest interests?
Well, there are in the European Commission funding dedicated to SMEs. That's the one that I would like quickly to present here. The most successful one, or the most known one, but also a very competitive one, is called the SME instrument. It's dedicated to companies that are highly innovative and are interested in quickly bringing their solutions to the market. So the SME instrument is divided into 3 phases. The first one is dedicated to the feasibility of your solutions. So there you can get funding up to 50,000 euro as a lump sum to finance your feasibility concept, such as, and also RPR assessment, partner search, and elaboration of your business plan. Then you can go into phase 2 of the SME instrument and apply for funding for the product development. So it will fund activities such as demonstration, testing, prototyping, scaling up of your product, or miniaturization or market replication. So you can get funding up to 2.5 million euro for that. And the phase 3 is, while you have got support in phase 1 or 2, you can get support and coaching for market introduction in the phase 3. There's no direct funding, it's just coaching and additional support by experts. So all of these, well, the two first phases are funded up to 70%, just for your information. So next slide.
And the SME instrument is quite new, but also quite successful. I've learned that a lot of companies get also private investment following the SME instruments. So indeed, it's
exactly. It's very attractive. It's very attractive. It's seen as an accelerator for your market introduction, and in order to help you to bridge the gap between your research, let's say, activities and the commercialization of the final products or solutions. So it's new and attractive also because one single company can apply. So it's the only instrument that allows that. And you need to start, at least for SME instrument 2, you need to start with a model or a prototype demonstration in a real environment, which is TRL 6 in the European Commission definition. The last one is is also targeted companies that have an ambition to bring their solution quickly to the market, but it's this time a collaborative project. So you need to have partners to do the project, and it's called Fast Track to Innovation. So it covers activities and can fund up to 70% again of activities such as piloting, test beds, development, and actions to validate in working conditions your solution, and up to pre-normative research. So it targets consortia that have really mature new technologies and concepts, and want to reach the market, like, let's say, and wider development in the coming 2 to 3 years. So for that, you need to be between 3 and 5 companies from at least 3 different countries. That's also a new instrument introduced by Horizon 2020 that it's worth for industrial to consider, in addition to what Nikos and Heiner said earlier. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's for me, let's say, the 2 main tools that I would like to introduce.
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting indeed, because it's also very dedicated to SMEs. Very interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we have questions about the participant today asking if they're going to have access to the slides, because indeed it's a lot of information to digest. So yes, of course you will have access to the slides, and you will have also access to the recorded version of the webinar. We can come back to the questions. I think also that it's important to highlight that the clusters, even though they are locally organized, they are also interacting at European level.
Yes, of course, because let's say market today is a global market. Yeah, we also try and let's say help our companies abroad, and for that clusters. Let's say, get into collaborations with other European clusters, and even sometimes outside Europe in Cluster Alliance. I present here an example. It's the one created by Minalogic and their members on innovative electronics and software technologies. And we are 12 clusters with the, let's say, main goal is making, let's say, European markets as easy, accessible as your local market. So okay. Each services that you can get from your local cluster, you could get it at European level, thanks to the Alliance.
Great, that's really interesting. So just in 2 points, if you have 2 advice to give to companies, what would it be?
Well, the first one is stay true to your company strategy, global strategy. EC funding is very attractive, but it can also take time in implementation, and the competition is high. So it shouldn't be, it can also only be a mean, it shouldn't be your main target. And second one is, first, if you want to make your first attempt, then use your closest network first. That could be your clients or your suppliers, because they know your competencies and your added value. And the second best, let's say, support, that would be the network, if you have time, and your cluster and the network like InSSight for the smart system integration are also very valuable contacts.
Thank you very much, Laure, for this presentation and your experience in supporting also company in getting access to European fundings through your cluster activity. What about the future? And it would be really interesting to know what could be the future. We spoke about Horizon 2020 quite a lot. Horizon 2020 will end in 2020, of course. What will be after? Nikos, could you share that with us? And during that time also, I'd like to ask our participants if they want to know more about InSSight and and then we can also contact them back. So Nikos, could you share with us a bit more about what after Horizon 2020?
Well, thank you, Geraldine. As I said, it's still a bit of early days now to talk about the next framework program, because this is what's going to follow Horizon 2020, namely FP9 for the moment. But there are efforts being put already into motion since the beginning of last year into what the next framework program will be, what will it involve, and of course this is always done by building on successes from the previous framework programs and looking into any issues, and of course what the drivers are for the next years to come, because this is always very important. There are some activities already planned in 2018. As I said, it's too early already to start talking about budget, so this is not something I can report on for the moment. But I do know that by mid-2018, the Commission will put forward a proposal for FP9, and of course this is going to follow the after the impact assessment. But already the Commission is looking into what Horizon 2020 brought, and I gave some examples through my slides as well. Horizon 2020 went through an interim evaluation, which was very, very positive. The outcome was very, very positive. So these are things that I've been taking into account for the moment. But what I can say is the drivers are always going to be the important part of when you design and when you structure the framework program and the funding instruments, because in this sense I would say that it's very important to have research there. It's a driving force as well as accelerating to innovation when we're talking about approaching more towards the market. But one thing that I can say, which is mostly my personal view, is I think as in Horizon 2020, even in the next framework program, there's going to be a strong focus on global challenges, social needs, health, bio, energy, environment. All these things will come into play quite heavily. But unfortunately, that's all I can say for now. This is quite limited knowledge for me.
No, but that's also very interesting, because it's important for companies to know that
Yes.
they enter now in the kind
especially
of
for the community of smart systems. It's these things are very relevant, and this is why I welcome and encourage all these organizations to get involved.
Absolutely, because we can see that indeed smart systems will be part of the future. So we really encourage you to apply to and to join the smart system integration ecosystems. Petra already mentioned the EPOS, European Technology Platform on Smart System Integration. So you can totally join, and also join us at Smart System Integration, the conference that's going to be organized in Dresden in March. And we're going to have also the InSSight Open Lab workshop. So since you are not very familiar with smart systems at the beginning of this webinar, it's a great opportunity to see, to test demonstrators, and to enter into the game, and then prepare the future. So you will be very welcome, and if you have interest, don't hesitate to contact us. Here are some links where you can see the webinar. This is my contact details, and this is also Petra's contact details. So of course we will share all the slides with you. I think that we can have a quick look to the questions, because I know we are running out of time. But I first like to thank all the speakers today, because I think you have done very good presentation and very detailed presentation, covering a lot of points. I think most of the questions we had today was related to the need for the slides. So again, as we said, we're going to share the slides with you. We have one
question. If I may?
Yes.
Yeah. One question: if SSI can apply all the trademarks to agriculture and agri-tech technologies? Yes, of course. SSI is Petra knows it best, but SSI is an enabling technology for various application domains, and one is, of course, agriculture.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had also another question. Maybe, Nikos, you can answer to that. It was a question about application for Horizon 2020 for UK-based companies. So can a UK-based company apply to European calls?
As far as I'm concerned, I think everything is as usual, so nothing's been affected. But just to be on the safe side, I can always redirect the questions to the relevant people in the end. So please feel free to share my email, and yes, we can give some more insight on that. But as far as I know, things are progressing as per usual.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So thank you all for this very detailed presentation. You will receive the slide, you will receive the recorded version, of course. If you have any questions, you can contact us. We will be really pleased to welcome you at SSI. We also will be really pleased to welcome you to the others and upcoming webinars of inSSight. We hope that this webinar was useful for you. You can also give your feedback on that. Please evaluate the webinar. It's always useful for us and to prepare the next webinar. So just a few seconds to answer these questions. And then I suggest we will close this webinar for today. So thank you very much, Nikos.
Thank you very much, Geraldine. Thank you to everybody, and I hope it was useful to the participants.
Thank you. Thank you, Petra.
Thanks a lot, Geraldine. Just one very brief remark. The participation in the Open Lab that you invited people to is free of charge. Just registration is needed. That might be an important information for people.
Absolutely. You're totally right. Absolutely. Thank you, Rainer, as well.
Yeah, thank you.
And also thank you, Laura. So thank you all. We're going to close now the
Thank you.
webinar, and wishing you a very good afternoon. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.